been gone too long, Alice. There are matters which might benefit from your attention. Friends cannot be neglected.
Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben, Alonzo, and Christy. Alice Through the Looking Glass?
Yeah, the sequel to Alice in Wonderland, which is not directed by Tim Burton.
No.
Although it feels like it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. This is the year of sequels we didn't know we wanted, and maybe we didn't. You know, we already had The Huntsman, and we've got Independence Day around the corner, and now we've got Alice Through the Looking Glass. And
just can I interrupt for a second? Is it really called Independence Day around the corner? Because that would be great.
I think it's coming.
It's Independence Day Resurgence, which to me sounds like something that when you have acid reflux. But
and it
anyway,
might feel like that when we watch it.
Could be. I don't know. We'll see. I always try and have high hopes for these things. Anyway, so Alice Through the Looking Glass. In my review of the wrap, I said, the first Alice in Wonderland was a huge hit, and you never hear anyone talk about it now, except for if they hated it. It's sort of like the Macarena. It was gigantic, but no one now will cop to having been part of that phenomenon.
And now that song's going to be in all of our heads, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, anyway, so Mia Wasikowska is back as Alice, and she's been sailing the world as a captain of a ship, and now she returns to England to find some family troubles, and next thing you know, she's following a blue butterfly that used to be a blue caterpillar with the voice of the late Alan Rickman through a mirror, and is back in Underland. And many complicated things happen because the Mad Hatter is sad. Take a look.
When the day becomes the night, and the sky becomes the sea, when the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea, and in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
Time is a he. He is not someone you want as your enemy. Please, sir, the Hatter is in danger.
Young lady, your time is up. This cannot be good.
Yeah, this is a time travel movie with no stakes. Basically, he's just sad.
Yeah.
And he just snap out of it. I mean,
but to unsad him, she will risk unmaking the fabric of time.
Yes,
basically.
the time-space continuum.
Yeah.
Whether it's worth it or not.
It's
just garish and big and noisy and soulless.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care, even from a visual perspective. It should be wonderful, right? We're in Wonderland, whatever. And
I mean, it's
just tacky and bright, and that's it.
I saw it in 2D, which was
I saw it in 3D,
which was preferable because I mean, I remember one of the things I really hated about the first Alice was they had sort of produced it into 3D in a really bad way, and I just found it kind of visually cacophonous. This movie, at least, I didn't hate looking at it, I mean, I will say, full disclosure, that one of the visual effects producers on this movie is a friend of mine. And I mean, I think they did what they were supposed to do. They create this world, and I didn't get a sense of sort of fakey green screen out of it. I mean, it all felt organic. But you're right, it's a lot. And effects they start really feeling extraneous when there's nothing for them to support. Like if you're making The Jungle Book, for example, and you have this story that you're telling, and you also happen to have this really great fake jungle, well, lovely. The fake jungle is there to be part of the story. Those fake animals are characters, and they're there to move the story along and to have these moments that mean something. But there's no characters here, and there's no story here, so the effects just sort of feel like you're watching somebody's reel, look at what I can do. Yeah, well, that's great. You can do that, but they're not in service of anything.
Yeah, it just sort of flits about frantically from one place to another. Then in between you have this theoretically cohesive ocean of time, which a lot of this reminded me of Pan. Speaking of special effects and big set pieces in the service of nothing.
It's better looking than Pan was.
I don't know. A lot of that stuff where she's in the orb you know, zooming through the oceans of time kind of reminded me of like big, obviously fakey, really jarringly so.
That was a little
big set
pannish.
pieces.
I will give you that.
And then Johnny Depp, poor Johnny Depp, he's having a really, really terrible week. And this movie is coming out in the middle of it all. I mean, I don't remember the Mad Hatter being this repulsive. I mean, it should be lovely. You know, the makeup's very, very complicated.
I couldn't stop looking at his, not his eyes, his eye makeup.
Because it keeps changing.
There's
like
so much going on around in like his lashes and brow area that I was just sort of transfixed by that because I needed something to keep me awake in this thing.
He's like Kabuki Carrot Top. Pretty much. As I was looking at that, I mean, it's monstrous. I mean, do you think this will be a thing that like drag performers will want to do? Will they want to be like colorfully changing chameleon-like
I'm sure there will
Mad
be
Hatter?
some tips being, you know, taken home from this.
The contour is serious.
Definitely, yeah. No, but again, I think, you know, if he were also given a character to play, then the makeup wouldn't be the thing we're talking about.
We're distracted by it.
Yeah, but there's nothing there. Like, you know, you have these characters from this classic Lewis Carroll story, and they don't do anything with them. It's like if you had an action movie that was about, you know, Heathcliff and Catherine from Wuthering Heights. It's like, well, these are characters. People know these characters and they like these characters, so we'll just put them over in this thing and it won't matter. And it's like, no, the Mad Hatter and the Red Queen and all these Lewis Carroll characters have a specific context and they are part of a specific worldview. And these movies just sort of borrow the names and the sort of fancifulness of Wonderland, but they don't do anything with them. I mean, this isn't a Tim Burton movie. It's directed by James Bobbin, who did the second Muppet movie, which I like.
The first Muppet movie.
No. Nicholas Stoller did the first one.
No, did he? I think he did the first. Will you look it up while you're on your iPad?
Yeah.
I think he did the first Muppet with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. I think he did.
I thought he did Muppets Most Wanted.
Let's look it up. But
Bobin.
I was gonna say though, we were talking about how these are Lewis Carroll characters. Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter is a Johnny Depp character.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
every inch of it was just like the, ooh, aren't I magical? And look at the wonderful things I can do with my
First
face.
Muppets called the Muppets, right?
Yeah.
It's just the Muppets.
James Bobin.
He did that.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I stand corrected.
And what was charming about that was that it was small and it was
Yes.
tactile and it was in our realistic world. And I don't know that this guy has that kind of big, fanciful, effects-laden movie in him.
And not that this should be in our world necessarily, but
But he doesn't know how to do this, I don't think.
No, absolutely, I agree. And also, I think the other thing that makes this very Tim Burton-y is that this is another movie about a grown man who is still sad about not being understood by his father.
He's Edward Scissorhands, but with ever-changing hair color.
Well, no, I mean it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah. That's the Willy Wonka backstory that we got for no good reason. Big Fish, like there's a canon now of
a motif, if you will.
of Burton movies. Where the thing. So it's not a Burton movie, but it is a Burton movie. I found this less annoying than the first one. I had fun watching Helena Bonham Carter. She's just like on a rampage and going for it. I was sort of entertained by Sacha Baron Cohen's Werner Herzog impersonation.
Yes, and facially he looks kind of like Ben Stiller, strangely. Like he's kind of doing a Ben Stiller thing, it's like some Zoolander version. But there's a couple of images in that time capsule which are pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean the whole idea with the stopwatches, the really beautiful
the rows of pocket watches,
pocket watches, and when your time is up, you get hung up in that world, and it's really striking. It's sort of a very austere but powerful kind of image. Like this is what happens to you when you die. Your time is literally up, and here's where you go. That's kind of a cool idea, and a surprisingly comparatively restrained one in this enormous, crazy world.
It's also the sort of umpteenth big studio movie where everything, like the worst thing that can happen happens, but then it doesn't count. You know, like that sort of thing drives me nuts. Yeah. Where it's like if you're gonna have, either don't take the ending to the horriblest place and save the day, or take it there, but don't make it all is lost and then, oh no, it's not. I hate that, and then
they press an undo button.
Basically,
Spoilers.
yeah.
Just looking at the pictures online, I wouldn't see this movie even if I'd been in town for this. I can't have that makeup. I can't have that hair. I can't see it.
That's the world, though, right?
I know, but it's like
they're creating that world.
I can't. It's like being in a flower shop. I hate it.
I gotta say though, the
Being bombarded
costumes
with colors.
Yeah, Colleen Atwood, longtime Tim Burton collaborator, did all the costumes again, and they're delightful.
Yeah, look,
They're
again, there's a lot of
beautiful.
effort being made here,
Yeah.
but all of that filigree is for naught if there's no story, if there's no characters, if there's no meat of the piece, it's all gravy. It's a big bowl of gravy, but there's no meat in it.
Right, there are a couple of moments that are meant to be meat, and they're meant to be poignant, involving things that happened with families long ago.
Yeah.
But then, pretty quickly, they are swept away by some big visual effects set piece, and so there's not the time to savor the meat. If we're going to continue this metaphor.
It's not like Johnny Depp. Black Mass was last year, right?
It was, last fall.
Although there was a degree of hiding behind a different face in that also, but it was a human. It was an identifiable.
Right. He's
human
acting.
being. Right. I wonder if there's going to come a time where he first of all he gets to do whatever he wants, and he clearly is comfortable in Edward Scissorhands, Alice Through the Looking Glass, the Pirates movies. These are what he likes to do. But I wonder if there will come a time when, sort of as he ages into it, where he might play identifiable people.
People without prosthetic makeup. I
Yeah.
mean, he's in his early 50s.
He's
Shouldn't
50.
that time be here?
It should be, but he is the definition of 50 being the new 40, or in his case, 50 being the new 33.
Right, he's ageless.
Right, he does not look it. He doesn't dress it, he doesn't act it. I still don't think we don't look at him yet and think there's a 52-year-old person, whereas now we do with Clooney, because Clooney has embraced it.
Sure, yeah. I always think of I think a lot of actors are consciously or unconsciously sort of aping Peter Sellers these days. Like when Mike Myers has to play 4 characters in a movie, like that's a Peter Sellers kind of thing, like in Dr. Strangelove. And Peter Sellers could go too far with that stuff and be not all that interesting, but then he could turn around and make Being There. And I keep hoping that Johnny Depp has a Being There in him, where he strips all that stuff away, because he is a talented actor, and he hasn't always been the latex guy. And I think that eventually he will go back to that.
Yeah,
Who's he listening to? He's not listening to anybody who would tell him that, right?
Maybe, and it's not. I don't know. He gets to do what he wants, and I think he's clearly talented
And he
enough
was
to do it.
And I did like him in Black Mass.
Right. Yeah. So it's really just his choice. If that's artistically, if that's what intrigues him. You obviously at 64, when he'll still look great, that's probably too old to do this. And will he play?
If you're a guy in Hollywood, you get to be old and still do this.
Yeah, but not this. He'll still have great roles, but will he choose to be a suburban dad who's siphoning money from the insurance agency where he works? And
you know what? He is a Taken. He needs a whole Taken resurgence. How about that?
Oh, I'd love.
We need a Liam Neesonization of Johnny Depp's career.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, let's buddy them up in Taken 5 or whatever.
Taking some more.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your number then? It's pretty low.
I give it a 3.5. I think it's an improvement from the first Alice, but it's just a big bunch of nothing.
I'm saying 3. If you're thinking about taking a child, I think that's fine. I brought Nicholas, who is 6.5. He had a headache afterward, and I'm wondering if that's just like the 3D and the 3D glasses.
How old is he?
6.5. Wow. I know,
Yeah.
right? He's going to be in first grade in a couple months.
See it flat. It looked a lot better, I thought. Just compared to the first one. And I think that if you're there for sort of the visual feast of it all, you're probably better off seeing it flat.
First thing, the last one was in 2000. The first one was in 2010, and the post-production 3D upgrade is much better now than it was. Than we've seen significant progress there.
Also, I'm not sure it needs to be in 3D. Like I saw it in 3D, and it didn't make it pop anymore. You don't think you can see it.
There
in
weren't
2.
a lot of moments that I was thinking like, oh, I wish I could see what that. It didn't. Yeah.
Things
I
flinging
think
themselves at us.
2D's fine.
Or not at all.
Or that. That's also.